Welcome to my channel. Today we will be exploring the life of Pharaoh Seti I, one of Egypt's most beloved leaders. But before we start, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for getting notifications about our upcoming videos. Let's dive in. Seti I was born around 1290 BC and was the second pharaoh of the 19th dynasty who ruled Egypt from 1290 to 1279 BC. He was the firstborn son of Ramesses I and Queen Amaze, and he had a younger brother named Ramesses II, who succeeded him on the throne. Seti took the throne at the age of 56 after defeating his rivals in a battle that resulted in the death of his father. He ascended to the throne in the midst of turmoil and civil war, with Upper and Lower Egypt being split between two contenders, including his father, Ramesses I. The situation was further complicated by the ongoing conflict with the Hittites in the north. However, Seti proved to be a capable leader and was able to restore order to the country. The early years of his reign were marked by military campaigns against the Nubian kingdoms to the south and the Levant region to the north. He successfully subdued the Nubians and brought them under Egyptian rule, extending the kingdom's influence into Africa. In the Levant, Seti faced a coalition of hostile forces, but he was able to defeat them and establish Egyptian dominance in the region. These military victories demonstrated Seti's strategic brilliance and his ability to lead his armies to triumph. Seti's reign was not just about warfare, though. He also made significant contributions to art and architecture. He built several temples, including the famous temple complex at Abydos, which showcased his religious beliefs and the power of the Egyptian state. His architectural projects also included the construction of a mortuary temple at Karnak and the expansion of the Great Temple of Amun at Karnak, where he built the famous hypostyle hall, a masterpiece of ancient architecture. These structures not only served religious functions, but also stood as symbols of Seti's wealth and grandeur. But perhaps Seti's greatest legacy is his tomb, the Valley of the Kings, which is one of the most well-preserved and magnificent examples of ancient Egyptian art. It was designed as a labyrinth with over 100 rooms filled with intricate paintings and hieroglyphics that depict scenes from Egyptian mythology and Seti's own life. The precision and detail of the artwork are astounding, and it has allowed us to learn more about ancient Egyptian culture and beliefs. Though much of what we know about Seti's reign comes from the exaggerated accounts of his son, Ramesses II, historians believe that Seti was a wise and benevolent ruler who cared about the welfare of his people. During his reign, he implemented policies to promote trade and economic growth, and he also took steps to improve the lives of the poor and the sick. His efforts to create a stable and prosperous Egypt set the stage for the later achievements of his son, who would go on to become one of the most famous pharaohs in history. Seti's impact on Egyptian society was profound and far-reaching. He was responsible for the creation of many works of art and architecture that are still admired today, and he left behind a legacy of peace and prosperity that allowed his son to focus on expanding the empire. Seti's reign was a golden age for Egypt, and he is remembered as one of the greatest pharaohs of all time. The Bible tells us about the oppression of the Israelites in Egypt and how God sent Moses to free them. It also mentions other pharaohs such as Ramesses II, who some believe could have been Ramses the Pigeon. However, there is no mention of Pharaoh Seti I in the Bible. But that doesn't mean he didn't exist. There is a lot of evidence that supports the existence of Pharaoh Seti I, and his existence is not debated among historians. Most of what we know about Seti comes from the records he left behind in his mortuary temple at Abydos and his tomb in the Valley of the Kings. His tomb was discovered in 1717 by a team led by British explorer Howard Weiss, who entered through a secret passageway in the floor of a nearby temple. The entrance to the tomb was intentionally sealed with stones to hide its location, but Weiss's team found it thanks to the help of an Egyptian fellahin who knew about the secret entrance. Inside, they discovered a series of tunnels leading to a burial chamber where Seti's body lay. It was clear that Seti had chosen his final resting place with great care. The walls of the tomb were covered in hieroglyphics that depicted scenes from Egyptian mythology and told the story of Seti's life. One of the most impressive features of the tomb was the use of color. Although many of the pigments have faded over time, the original colors would have been bright and vibrant, creating a dazzling display of Egyptian art. Some of the scenes depicted in the tomb showed Seti's military victories, such as his battles against the Canaanites and the Libyans. Other scenes showed him participating in religious ceremonies or hunting animals such as lions and elephants. Perhaps the most famous scene in the tomb is the one that shows Seti and his son Ramesses II worshipping the gods Amun and Ra. This scene is thought to symbolize the divine mandate of kingship and the pharaoh's responsibility to maintain order and balance in the world. Studying Seti's tomb has given historians a unique insight into the beliefs and customs of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was a god-king who ruled with the help of the gods, and Seti's tomb was designed to reflect this belief. The elaborate artwork and the hidden entrance were meant to impress the pharaoh's subjects and remind them of his divine status. By studying these artifacts, historians can learn more about the Egyptians' understanding of the afterlife and their belief in the power of the pharaohs. Seti's mortuary temple at Abydos is another important source of information about his reign. The temple contains many of the same themes and motifs as his tomb, but it also provides valuable information about his military campaigns and his building projects. Seti built the temple in the early years of his reign as a way to commemorate his victories and solidify his position as pharaoh. The temple contains a number of statues of Seti and reliefs depicting his military campaigns. One of the most impressive of these is the so-called Battle of Kadesh relief, which depicts Seti's victory over the Canaanites. The relief is highly detailed and shows Seti and his army in full battle gear. It also includes scenes of Seti's victories over the Nubian kingdoms in the south. These military campaigns were important for securing Egypt's borders and maintaining order in the region. In addition to its religious and military functions, Seti's mortuary temple also served as a memorial to his father, Ramesses I. The temple contains a number of statues and reliefs of Ramesses I, as well as a small shrine dedicated to him. This is significant because it shows the importance of family and tradition in ancient Egyptian culture. Seti's rise to power was not without its challenges, and he had to fight a civil war to secure his throne. But once he was in power, he worked to legitimize his rule by honoring his father's memory. Overall, the mortuary temple of Seti at Abydos is an invaluable resource for historians. The temple contains some of the best preserved examples of ancient Egyptian art and architecture, and it provides a wealth of information about Seti's reign, his military campaigns, his building projects, and his relationship to his father. Steadfastness to tradition was also evident in his choice of wife. Seti married 2 women during his reign, both of whom were members of the royal family. His chief wife was Queen Takht, who was the daughter of his predecessor, Ramesses I. This marriage was a strategic move to legitimize Seti's rule and to strengthen his ties to the previous dynasty. Seti also married a woman named Queen Amada, who was the daughter of a former vizier. This marriage was less about politics and more about love, as evidenced by the affectionate nickname Seti used for her, "My beloved is beautiful." Together, Seti and his wives had several children, including Ramesses II, who would go on to become one of the most famous pharaohs in history. Seti's approach to religion was also shaped by tradition. He was a devout believer in the Egyptian pantheon of gods and goddesses, and he made every effort to maintain the traditional balance of power between them. Seti's reign saw a revival of the worship of Amun, who had been somewhat neglected during the reign of Ramesses I. Seti's mortuary temple at Abydos is a testament to his devotion to Amun, as the god is featured prominently in the temple's artwork. Seti also made offerings to other gods, including Ra, Ptah, and Horus, demonstrating his commitment to upholding the religious traditions of his ancestors. Despite his steadfastness to tradition, Seti was not afraid to make changes when necessary. For example, he reintroduced the practice of releasing prisoners in the year 30 of his reign, which had been discontinued by his predecessor. He also issued a number of decrees that aimed to improve the lives of his subjects, such as one that regulated the prices of grain, and another that established a minimum wage for laborers. These reforms demonstrate that Seti was not simply a figurehead, but a true leader who cared about the welfare of his people. As we come to the end of our journey through the life of Pharaoh Seti I, let us take a moment to appreciate his lasting legacy. From his military victories to his building projects and his religious reforms, Seti's reign was a golden age for Egypt. He was a master builder who created some of the most beautiful temples and tombs in the ancient world. He was a skilled military leader who kept Egypt safe from its enemies. And he was a devout pharaoh who respected the traditional religion of his people. Perhaps most importantly, Seti was a visionary who understood the importance of connecting with his people. He built projects like the hypostyle hall at Karnak, which were not just monuments to his own greatness, but also places where ordinary Egyptians could come to worship and connect with their culture. Seti's reign was a time of peace and prosperity for Egypt, and he set the stage for his son Ramesses II to become one of the most famous pharaohs in history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Pharaoh Seti I. We hope you learned something new and that you will remember the great deeds of this amazing pharaoh. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button below to let us know. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos about ancient Egypt and other historical topics. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.